A good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Bo. First mitzvah in the Torah to the Jewish people. HaChodesh Zel Lachem. God speaks to Moshe and Aaron and says to them that this month shall be for you the first of all months. So the first question you have to ask is, what was Aaron doing there? Moshe Rabbeinu was needed to teach the Torah and teach the commandments, but why did he call both Aaron and Moshe in to let them know that HaChodesh Zel Lachem? You also have to wonder, why is that the first mitzvah of the Torah? If I'm thinking of 1 to 10 things that I'm going to be telling the Jewish people that they need to know before they get out of Mitzrayim, Kiddush HaChodesh is not really one of them. A lot of good answers to this question. I'm going to focus just on one thing. We also have to worry that we know that Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem. That's why God said, "HaChodesh hazelochem." He pointed to the moon and he showed him like this you have to see and sanctify. That Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't understand. What exactly couldn't Moshe Rabbeinu understand? That this month shall be for you a new month. The sliver of the month, whatever. Like, what was it that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand? So one of the commentaries says, what Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand is that why was it the sun that was kovei, the moon that was kovei everything, that it was hachodesh hazeh talking about the moon and not something to do with the sun. The sun is kvi v'kaima. The sun stays and is always there. It's constant. So why not the sun being the paradigm for the Jewish people? Why was it that the moon was the paradigm? So we have to understand why we follow the moon. Everything that we do is dictated by the moon. We are a lunar people. You could say that we are lunatics, right? Because we follow we follow the lunar cycle, the moon cycle. Does that mean that every Jew is a lunatic? What does that mean? Why are we so tied into the moon? Why is the moon a big deal? We go out once a month and we make a bracha on the moon. Not make a bracha on the moon. We're really making a bracha on God, and the moon is just the way that we see and that we recognize God. But what is it? Why is it that the moon really is a center figure for us, and it's a vehicle for us to be able to see, to be makabel pnei shechina, to be able to see the divine presence. So we know that when God told Moshe Rabbeinu by Matan Torah, He said to him, "V'kidashtem hayom ha'machar, I want you to sanctify yourself today and tomorrow, and v'kipsu simlosam, and I want you to clean your clothes." It's not clean your clothes. So once you come to Har Sinai looking nicely. So our commentaries understand that what is v'kipsu simlosam? That means that they have to be masakin midas. They have to change their character. That if they're not going to change their character, not going to improve their character, so then they can't receive the Torah, because a prerequisite for Torah is derech eretz, is a good character. We know that derech eretz is called Torah. We know that we have in the Mishnah Pirkei Avos, in ein derech eretz ein Torah. If there's no derech eretz, there's no Torah. We know that Sefer Bereshis comes before Sefer Shmos because derech eretz is called Torah. The first has to be a tikkun midas. You have to change yourself as a person. You don't have good midas, you can't receive the Torah. You can't be a makabel. You can't be a receiver. And we see that even by the Rambam, when he sets out the laws of Talmud Torah, before he sets out the laws of Talmud Torah, he does the laws of Deos. The laws of Deos, and just from the fact that one precedes the other, sends the message that Derech Eretz Kodma Torah. That's the reason why we learn Pirkei Avos before, on Shavuos during Sfira, leading up to Shavuos, because Tikkun Amidos is the appropriate preparation for Kabbalah Torah, for the receiving of the Torah, and therefore, and that's the reason also why you don't find anywhere in the Torah that it says you have to have good midos, because it's understood that it's a part and a parcel of every one of the 613 commandments. It's the basis of all the mitzvahs, and therefore that explains why Chazal say that bad midos is worse than bad actions, because bad midos cause bad actions. And you can fix actions, but if you don't fix the midah, then the actions are going to keep happening. That's what we understand. That's what the moon represents. The moon represents humility. The moon represents that in two beautiful ways. One is that it's a reflection of the sun. It doesn't have its own light. Its light is coming as a reflection of the sun, and that is a very humble thing to realize, that it's not necessarily coming from me, but I'm happy to be a reflection of somebody else. The spotlight doesn't have to be on me. I'm happy to carry somebody else's light into this world. I'm happy to be there for somebody else. And that is an act of humility. But the very inception of the moon, that we know that when God created the two orbs, He created them equal. And then the moon came to God and complained to God and said, there can't be two kings in the world. So God said, okay, fine, I'm going to diminish you. So everybody understands it as a punishment. And I don't, you don't have to understand it as a punishment that God said to the moon that he made him smaller, and that's why the moon became secondary to the sun. It could very well be that God said that, listen, one of them is going to have to be secondary. You clearly have that sense of humility. You have that ability to be able to say that, look, you can't have two kings here. And I'm happy to take the back, the back seat for this if necessary. And you took the back seat. And therefore you become constantly the moon. When we look at the moon and we remember that how it was formed and how it was shaped and how the whole thing came into being, we remember the concept of humility. Looking at the moon reminds us that we have to be humble, and that is a key. Our midos are critical. In order to have anything in this world, our midos are critical. And that's why we count everything according to the moon, why we're so tight in, not because we're lunatics, but we count into the moon. We are connected. We are connected so intrinsically to the moon because everything that we do has to be about Tikkun Amidas. That it's not just about asiyas mitzvos, it's not just about doing things, but it's about the kind of people that we become. And that was Moshe Rabbeinu's struggle. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand why Dafka the moon. So God told him, Kazera Eva Kadesh, look at that moon and sanctify yourself that way. So make yourself like that. Make yourself into a humble human being. Make yourself into a person who has beautiful midos. And that's why this is the first mitzvah that we're given. The first mitzvah we're given in Mitzrayim, it's a crazy thing. You think Rosh Chodesh, of all the mitzvahs, it's like not really that significant. Yes, Rosh Chodesh is significant. You know why it's significant? Because it represents Derech Eretz Kodmel Torah. That first there has to be a tikkun midos. First there has to be humility. There has to be midos tovos. And when you have midos tovos, when you have good midos, then you can go and you can build yourself a whole structure of Torah. That's why Aaron was included, because Aaron was Kiyoya Shalim b'midos, because Aaron was somebody who was perfect in his midos, Yosem Mikol Adam, more than any other person, and therefore Aaron was the fitting one to be able to be the vehicle for this message that you got to work on your midos. It could very well be that that's the reason why on Motzoi Shabbos, when we say Kiddush Levana and we sanctify the moon, we're recognizing God, we're seeing God, and we're recognizing that it's all about humility. We're reminding ourselves that in order to be able to manifest God in this world, there has to be a sense of humility. To be a makabel, to be a receiver of Torah, there has to be a sense of humility. You can't see yourself as the top of the game. You have to recognize there's something above you and there's something greater than you, and that things in this world are greater than you. Now I want you to take that and do something real with it. Don't just stand there and look at the moon and remember that. I want you to take it and turn it into something practical. And we turn to each other and we say, Shalom Aleichem. And then we receive somebody's greeting and we say, Aleichem Shalom. And we recognize that there are other people in this world. That's the way we begin the month, by making sure that our midos are in place, making sure that we're fine people, that we're people that can recognize the importance of other people, people that can recognize the value of others. Shalom Aleichem. It's so great to see you. May peace be on you. Aleichem Shalom. I greet you back like a mensch. And that's the way we begin the month. That's the way we begin the year. That's the way we began our life as a Jewish people. You have to start with Tikkun Hamidus. Be a mensch. And if you're a mensch, then you can have everything in the world. Have a beautiful, awesome, and amazing Shabbos.